Hello, everyone. My name is David Burdett, lead editor with Gamingtrend.com, and I am here with KC from Gorton Code. Made this little game here called Shanty, and has done us the pleasure of coming to chat about it. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
For sure. It seems like you've been a little busy. I've seen online you were out at Gamescom, if that's correct.
Yeah, that's correct. It's been almost a month now since I was there. Pretty busy time, and I've also begun working again. Try to get some creative juices flowing, for my next project. So I'm really happy to have an opportunity to discuss with you about Chantey and, uh, you know, give myself an opportunity to explain what was the thought process behind that and try to recapture a bit of that magic so that I can go back into all the new projects I'm trying to work moving forward.
Awesome. Well, obviously, to start, tell us a little bit more about yourself and kind of your foray here into game development, because you're the founder of Gortyn Code. How did that come about?
Gortyn Code is a brand that I have personally associated myself with for the past 10 years. I have always been interested in doing game development, doing experimental stuff, trying new things in many different formats. I have at some point also developed for non-standard devices like the HoloLens at some point. So I did try my hand on like augmented reality for both mobile as well as head-mounted displays. My background in R&D, research and development, helps, with accumulating knowledge and trying to understand, how new formats might be leveraged in order to develop new ideas and develop new games. I've always been interested to see how far games can go, and I started Gortyn Code really small, just like a bedroom developer, doing some small experimental stuff, mostly for free, until I stumbled one day upon this amazing tool, GB Studio. I started tinkering with it, and immediately my nostalgia for when I was a kid, my very first system was a Gameboy Pocket. I also used to have access to a Game Boy that was my sister's. So Game Boy and I go very way back. And I always, cherished the idea of being able to develop a game for that system. And doing that at that time felt really rewarding, felt like I was, closing a loop. And eventually, I decided to go commercial with that particular project, and then Chantey happened really fast, and it was just like that.
Well, speaking, of course, of Shanty, tell us a little bit more about that. Tell us about kind of how that started, how what your inspirations were for that game.
Many inspirations. I think most players that have played the game will probably be able to tell it from playing the game. So definitely, the old Legend of Zelda, the 2D Zelda games, Pokemon being a huge inspiration and one of my favorite games. Of course, the early rhythm games in the style of Guitar Hero and Rock Band, all of that are things that I personally enjoy. I have very fond memories of playing all of those games when I was younger. Now, the idea of putting all of that together in a Game Boy game, I have to say that it evolved. The original idea came to me when a few years back, but I never really found the correct format to try my hand and actually do it in a way that felt meaningful until I came across GB Studio and also the Game Boy competition of 2023. It felt like, in a jam context and with the limited tools, it felt like the right time to like experiment, try to see if the idea of like an adventure game where you travel from one island to the other in this kind of crazy pirate adventure with pirate metal, which was a genre of music that I had been very fond of for that part. I really started becoming aware of it during the early 2000s and especially during the COVID years. And I really wanted to just mix all these things together and see if I could get something to work in like a game jam context. And eventually, when I decided that to me it's good enough, I think that this might actually work in like a full-blown release. I decided to continue working on it, and then collaboration with Mod Retro happened, and the game was eventually finished earlier this year, and it was released in physical form.
Awesome. So speaking specifically on the rhythm-based combat, what made you decide to go with that as opposed to a more traditional style of combat?
Definitely several factors. Like I mentioned, I did have really fond memories of games like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and always, ever since playing those games, I thought of, it would be really cool if those games weren't just like a set list of songs that you had to complete one after another, but there was like kind of like a story that would tie together, and it would be meaningful for the player to go from one song to another by actually playing a story. So it felt like, how do you incorporate that into like a narrative dimension and also as a gameplay element? So then the idea came that, every game basically has this battle music, which is supposed to hype up the player to get in rhythm with a battle and try to defeat their opponents. So I thought about, wouldn't it be cool if, like in like this Dungeons and Dragons concept of like the Bard character, the Bard class, if you could be something like that Bard, and your entire point is to actually hype up the others by playing this sort of battle music that actually is like heavy metal and really power metal-esque, so that you get your troops pumped up to defeat the other guys. And this is basically how the idea evolved into what it became inside the game.
Awesome. Yeah, no, funny enough, I was in a metal band for a little while when I was in I had just gotten out of college, and one of our songs was actually, we made one called Anchors, and I remember going and actually looking for some pirate metal just for inspiration as we were writing. So
That's awesome.
so I definitely
What kind of
related.
influences did you have?
I don't even remember. It's been so long. Speaking, of course, of music, it's so great in Shanty. That's one of the reasons that the game is so much fun, is because the music is really well done, which is really surprising, especially considering, you're dealing with chiptune music. You can't do everything you would like to do. How did you pick the music, and who crafted that aspect of it?
Well, the music, at that time, I used to be very much into pirate metal, the different bands at the time, and also the older ones. So definitely a lot of influences come from bands like Running Wild, and definitely also Ailstorm, which you might say is today's like the prime uh, contributor to pirate metal music. But I wanted that music to be its own original thing, composed for the game itself. And I decided that I would try my own hand at composing these songs, and just started to seek inspiration, not just inside pirate metal, but also power metal in particular, because I wanted like this fast rhythm, so that the players could really get into the aspect of we are doing battle music right now, and we are trying to pump our troops. So it really started with like sea shanties of like the 1700s and the 1800s, songs like Bully in the Alley and Drunken Sailor. I decided to try to just record them on like a tracker that is implemented inside GB Studio. I was really happy with the result. Then I started arranging, trying to understand how I would put like the drum lines and the bass lines, and really just experimented with it until I thought that the result was satisfactory for those songs. And then I decided that I was going to need like a full album of songs if I was going to do it the way that I had imagined. So really, it was just a process of like every waking hour trying to like hum different songs to myself, different melodies. My children looking at me like, "Dad, why are you suddenly headbanging?" So the entire idea was I wanted it to be unique music. So all of the songs I did compose on my own for the game specifically, and using the GP Studio tools just to make sure that I wouldn't go above any limitations. And I started out small with the songs I mentioned, and then I started, expanding with different styles, different musical influences. So I have some songs that are a bit faster, some songs that are a bit more heavy, let's say. And by the end, where you come to like the final battles, and one of my personal favorites from the game, the Eldritch Nomad song. I don't want to spoil for people that might not have played the game, but that's basically where all of the skills I had acquired in using the tracker software came into fruition. And this is like a song that's like 6 minutes long. Might be one of the longest songs that's been used in a Game Boy game. And it has like wave samples. That's actually my voice in that song.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, I was really happy with the result.
Awesome. No, that's absolutely fantastic. Do you plan on releasing the soundtrack? Is it available out there anywhere for people to listen to?
So far it isn't. I've been toying with the thought of doing it. I don't know if there would be any demand for it. Right now I'm focusing on some other stuff, but I'd definitely like to check whether people would be interested to have just the soundtrack out there. I've also have some friends who are in a band, and they once told me that they would be happy to do like with actual instruments, do like the songs. So I don't know. We'll see.
Awesome. So another aspect of Shanty that's a little bit different is there are actual companion missions to the game, and that's something I love the whole Zelda feel. I love all the other stuff. Definitely did not expect to have full-on companion missions in the game. How did that idea happen? Like where did all of that inspiration come from?
Yeah, so that idea, I'd say, has manifested because one of my personal favorite games of all time would be Mass Effect 2. That's one of my personal favorites, and one of the things I've always fondly remembered was trying to earn the loyalty of all the people so that you can go, let's say, to that final mission and make sure that everybody stays alive, essentially, for the third game that we were expecting back then. So that was always something that stuck with me, and I thought that a game about pirates would really mean a lot to be able to assemble your crew and just try to recreate that feeling of in Mass Effect where you were walking through the Normandy and you were talking to your crewmates. I wanted to recapture that, but on a Game Boy. And it was an idea that I know that in past Game Boy games it wasn't really something that you really often saw, that you were developing, let's say, relationships with your companions. So I thought that it would be a nice touch to add to Chantey. It really felt like the game setting called for it.
It fits it really well and just adds another layer of depth that just people wouldn't expect from a Game Boy game for certain. Speaking of Game Boy, with handheld gaming, it's becoming a lot more advanced now. You can carry a computer essentially with you at this point in time. With all of that available, why make something for Game Boy? Was it just Game Boy Studio? Was it just this is what I'm wanting to make? Like how did you end up being associated with like Mod Retro Chromatic?
Uh, as I said, like my very first game console was Game Boy Pocket. The very first game console that we had at our home was an actual DMG .01 Game Boy. That was my sister's. I have really fond memories of playing on that system, and my Game Boy Pocket actually still works. I
Oh, that's
still
awesome.
carry it around, and it's not modded. I still don't understand how we actually did play with like the screen being so primitive at that time. But uh, one of the things I do remember very vividly was, especially before I got my own Game Boy, let's say I used to play on my sister's Game Boy, and we usually got to fight over whose turn it was. And it was always like, it isn't your Game Boy, it's your sister, so she gets first tips. So my response to that would be, I would go to my room and I would pick up my pen and paper and start draw different games that I would have want to be playing at that time. So I think that probably was the very first time that I even, considered without even knowing it that, making your own games would have been possible. So when I experienced GB Studio for the first time, I discovered it through other amazing creations like Dragonborn and Dedius, which are games that were made in 2000. And I was so surprised to see that people were still making them. I immediately wanted to know how I could do it myself. And yeah, when I discovered that I could do it and I could actually get it to work on my own Game Boy Pocket, it was immediately a determination of this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to make. So the decision to do it on the Game Boy was pretty much, at that point, I decided that that is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go mobile. I'm not going to do like a PC version. I want to stay to those limitations, and I really want to see this idea pan out on actual hardware. So that has been my motivation ever since. And through the GB Compo Game Jam that I was a part of, uh, I believe Chris, who is the publishing head at Mod Retro, saw the game and reached out to me at some point and asked me if I would be interested to go on a physical release. And then we got talking. I heard about the vision of Mod Retro, and it was pretty easy decision for me when I understood that this was a project and these were people that were actually sharing in that love and appreciation for that same system. It was really easy for me to say yes and work towards that goal.
Awesome. So I can at least assume you have played Shanty on your original Game Boy Pocket.
Yeah,
That,
absolutely. Finished it and everything.
that has to be just so surreal. Just like, man, this is what I used as a kid, and now my creation is on there.
Yeah, that's exactly that was the very first time I actually had like a demo of the game on a flash card playing on my Game Boy Pocket. It felt like everything had come full circle. But then when the game was actually released, I decided to play it one more time on the actual production cartridge on that same system. And I have to say it's one of the things that really justifies my position of doing it on the Game Boy. It felt like a really special moment having my own, legit game cartridge on that same system that I used as a kid. Like my 8-year-old self would have blown his mind to tell him that.
Now, has your sister gotten a chance to play it?
No, because unlike me, I think her Game Boy doesn't work anymore.
Oh
But
no.
she's been looking, yeah, she's been looking for an alternative. We live in different countries. She's in the UK, I'm in Greece. So I've sent her a copy and I'm waiting for her, to tell me what she thinks of it.
Well, there's a really fantastic Game Boy player called the Mod Retro Chromatic. She needs to get herself one of those.
Yeah, indeed.
So obviously, you've already talked about you're looking at another project. What are your aspirations for a follow up? Because this is it's such an impressive first outing. So it's a lot to follow up, but are we going to see Shanty 2? Do you want to do something more new? Like what are you thinking?
Uh, yeah, I've maintained the position that, when I designed Chantey, the lore, I really got sucked into designing, the world and the mechanics, how the world would work, why everything is happening, the people that inhabit this world, and the rules, of the tome, that you have to collect the magical pages and what that tome would be, and why it's there, everything. So a lot of thought went into it, and at some point I realized that I'm doing something that is much larger than just one game. So I'd really want to revisit that world at some point. Revisit, I have several ideas that I would like to do at some point if people were into it. Yeah, I've said time and again, I need some time, some break from heavy metal pirates for the foreseeable future. I want to focus on some different ideas that I've had also for some time. Currently, I'm working on a different project. I can't say too much right now because it's still in pre-production, but it's something completely different. And yeah, it plays again on mechanics that I personally haven't seen on a Game Boy, much less on something else. It plays on a really, I think, unique idea of a game. And yeah, when I'm ready to show more stuff about it, I definitely will through my socials, etc. But I will
Awesome.
tell you because you had a really great review of Chantey on your side. I'm really appreciative of that. So I will send you some screenshots when I'm ready.
Oh, for sure, and we'll be ready to show them off when you're ready. So I always like to end out any interview. I like to get a fun story from development, like something where it's maybe something hilarious happened that you didn't expect, or just something that you think was fun that happened as you were developing your game.
Let me think. Yeah, a lot of hilarious things happened to me generally, but I would say like the craziest thing. So you asked me about the songs. So the way I'm doing the songs, I can't play a musical instrument. I always wanted to, but my parents were like, if you can't turn it off, you don't get to play a musical instrument. And then after I grew up, I never really had time to pursue something like that. So even though I was always, curious about, the process of making music, it didn't really, I never really got like a chance or like really determined to get into, learning how to play the guitar. Or in my case, I always want to play the drums. So this is why my mother always told me no. And yes, so the only way that I could, let's say, render out the music that I had in my mind for me to remember, so that I could go home onto the tractor would be to like beatbox. So I would be beatboxing on my phone, on my recorder, trying to do like the drums, trying to do like the guitar. And if I believe that I had a really good riff in my head, I would do it wherever I was. So if I was in a bus, if I was outside just walking, I would just pull out my phone, try to really, really go to somewhere quiet so that people wouldn't laugh at me. And at home, I think I said that already, definitely several times my children would be looking at me really strange. And especially when I would get into it, I'd start like headbang and do all those crazy things, started to dance. And like my kids would be like, okay, let's join in the fun. So they would start to dance with me as well as I was beatboxing the song. So I think that's really, really funny. You probably won't be able to visualize it, but that's, I think, like the craziest story.
I can visualize it because as I mentioned before, writing music, I would occasionally do the same thing into my phone if I had a riff in my head that sounded good. So I totally get it. I totally understand. Well, awesome. Well, thank you for stopping in. Can you tell all of our viewers where they can find you on socials?
Yes, sure. So my studio name, Gortyn Code, is like my handle for all of my socials, so people can follow updates on Shanty and all other works. On my Twitter, I've recently also started an Instagram account, and also on my website at www.gortyncode.gr. And of course, they can check out all of the official mod retro channels for all of the mod retro news, especially pertaining Chantey. Any game updates with the card clinic feature, etc.
Awesome. Well, and if you are watching and you haven't yet gone to gamingtrend.com and read our Shanty review, go and do that. And we'll also have a link in the description below so you can go and pick up your own copy of this fantastic game, Shanty. It really has been a pleasure to get to talk with you, KC. Thank you so much. And thank you to our viewers for watching. We hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and keep your eyes on Gamingtrend for more mod retro and Shanty news and updates.
Thank you.